How I lied to my family for over 25 years. But it is not what you think. Before we start, let's make a prediction in the comments. What do you think this man has been lying about all these years? Let's find out. I guess it's time for me to come clean. Not because I feel too bad for what I've been doing, but because it's possible my eldest son is on to me. I have 3 kids and a wonderful wife. For more than 25 years, our family has loved doing puzzles together. Since we started, I've done something that may seem unsavory to people that don't understand the joy of putting in that final piece. To ensure it was always me, whenever we start a new puzzle, I take one of the pieces and hide it in a green sock that's at the bottom of my dresser. Whenever we get to the very end, we all, once again, lost a piece. We all search frantically until I'm the hero who finds it. Well, this past Sunday we got to completion once again, only this time there are 2 pieces missing. We begin searching. It may be my imagination, but my eldest son gave me a look. It was a half smirk. I think he's on to me. Derek, if you're reading this, I have more patience than you do. I'll hold my peace forever if I need to. Find yours first, and let's end this madness. Okay, this one was funny, but there is a twist to it. A fellow Reddit user sent me a message with an incredible idea. I'm going to try and contact the manufacturer and order his missing piece. I'm going to find it when it arrives, then find mine immediately after. I almost feel bad when I consider how truly confused he will be. I don't think he's found this thread yet because he hasn't approached me about it, so this could still work. I'm so excited. This will go down in family history. Checkmate. Well, folks, I've been duped. I got up this morning, went into the kitchen to get some coffee, and as I walked past the puzzle, I noticed that it had been completed. All pieces accounted for. I calmly and politely knocked on Derek's door and asked him about it. He denied knowing anything about it. Like, super convincing. I went back down to my bedroom, confused as ever, and just sat in bed with a blank stare. My wife asked me what's wrong, and I told her that the puzzle was completed and I have no idea how it got done. She literally started laughing like a damn hyena. I've always known about your dumb green sock. I'm in shock. I'm numb, like a damn gut punch. So as it turns out, she's known what I've been doing for at least 10 years. She said she loved watching me walk around thinking I was some criminal mastermind tricking everyone, and that's why she never said anything. She wanted me to have my win, while she secretly laughed and had her own fun in secret. I don't even know what to say. I'm just processing everything. I cannot believe she's had this over me for so long and I literally had no idea. She noticed a decade ago that I had just one green sock, since I lost its pair forever ago, and immediately knew something was up with it since I refused to throw it away. I guess that makes sense. I'm an idiot. I've come to the realization that she's actually the master here. It's her house, and I should be thankful she lets me live in it. At least she promised not to tell the kids. That's a good story. Women know and notice everything. What did you think of the twist in this story? I thought it would be a funny story to start with. Don't worry, we have a drama story next. Story 2. My wife is emotionally cheating on me. I feel really betrayed, I'll be honest. I cheated on my wife when she was still my girlfriend early in our relationship and she knew about it. Maybe this is karma for me. However, she just admitted when we were already married that she had sex with her ex-boyfriend when we were initially dating as a form of closure, but never saw him again once we were in a relationship. My wife and I have been in a relationship for 8 years, 5 of which were long distance due to me studying in another country. We've been married for 2 years now. I have changed a lot since the beginning of our relationship and matured to be the best husband for her. I am now a citizen of the country where I studied, and my wife is on a temporary visa awaiting residency. Last year my wife went on a trip to another state to see a mutual friend of ours for 4 days. She invited a doctor, whom she met a couple of years back, to dinner with our mutual friend. When she came back from her trip, they began messaging a lot. I wasn't bothered about it because I trusted my wife. Suddenly we had a fight unrelated to their communication, and she confessed to me that messaging him was already cheating. It took a while for it to sink in. Then she admitted that during the dinner they spoke to each other with their faces so close that they could almost kiss. My wife confessed that the doctor told her during the dinner that he liked her even before, and my wife also somehow had a crush on him. My wife has since stopped exchanging messages with him, and we worked it out. She promised not to see him again if she ever went to that state. Recently, a year after that incident, my wife went back to the same state to visit some friends, but in a different city this time, about 3 hours from where the doctor lived. This time, my wife was away for a week. We had a big fight a week before she left. Being the mature partner that I am, I still picked her up from the train station after her work even though we didn't talk. My wife consoled me a day before her flight. However, I was still upset that she was going away for a week. I thought she would be away for 3 days tops, which I just found out a day before her flight, and it was our anniversary that week she was away. Now, my wife's Facebook and Instagram accounts are open on our laptop, and we were still not speaking when she left. On the first day of her 1-week vacation, she started messaging the doctor again, saying that she and her friends would be going to his city on the weekend and they should catch up. However, the doctor declined as he was busy that weekend. The conversation lasted just a day, and my wife invited him to come to the city where she and her friends were staying. The conversation ended with my wife saying to let her know when he was coming if he ever did. I think it never panned out as the doctor has not seen her message. I've been devastated and could hardly sleep for a week now, thinking about what could have happened if the doctor did visit her. My wife deleted their conversation when she came back. We are still not speaking even 5 days after she returned. I saw another message today from my wife to her friend, saying that we haven't spoken for weeks now and that once her residency visa gets approved, she will leave me and move to another state. I have screenshots of the conversation. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I just want to end the relationship because of my anger and pride, and this will be an ongoing trust issue if we remain together. I also don't want to be petty and inform immigration, as it will end her visa, and I'm still hoping for us to be together. I just don't know what the next move is. Again, as I mentioned, this may be karma for me. I just really feel betrayed. Is karma working here, or does he deserve better? Let me know in the comments. I secretly love reading stories like this, so much drama. I'm here for it. Let's read another. Story 3. Wife was out getting laid. Never thought I'd be here, but here I am. This weekend, my wife, 38F, and our daughter, 13F, went to visit her mum. I couldn't go because I couldn't get the time off work, and we decided it would just be a girls' weekend for them. I'm a firefighter in a large southern city. I was on a call and gearing up when our dispatcher called in to tell me there was an emergency. I wasn't really needed on the work call, so I got my cell phone and found a bunch of texts from my kid and a couple from a number I didn't have in my phone. In about 11 text messages, I learned that my daughter had gone ice skating, fallen, and broken her wrist. She was in the emergency room but couldn't get treatment because no one could find my wife. The number I didn't recognize belonged to a friend of my wife's who had gone to the emergency room to sit with my kid. She was the chaperone for the girls who had gone skating, so I called this friend, and after a lot of hemming and hawing, she admitted that my wife had gone to dinner with some random guy. We always share our locations with the family because of my job. Sure enough, I pulled up an address and Googled it. It was a hotel. This was at 10 p.m. It's now almost 4 hours later, and she hasn't answered my texts, but she did finally call our kid. I provided permission and insurance information, and my daughter got a cast and a referral to see an orthopedist when she gets home. The friend took our daughter back to her grandmother's and texted me. She said, "I'm sorry you had to find out this way about Anthony. Apparently it's been going on every time my wife has gone home without me. Meanwhile, I've worked countless hours of overtime to pay off our house, take us on nice vacations, and send our daughter to the most expensive private school in our city. I'm a fool. I feel bad for him." Let's find out what happens next in the update. Update 1. As many of you suggested, I spoke with a lawyer. During that conversation, I realized that she doesn't really have access to a lot of money that is hers. I removed her as an authorized user on my credit cards and added 2-factor authentication to just about everything she might try to access. I pulled my credit report and discovered she had opened a joint credit card I didn't know about. Since I'm on the account, I was able to log in and print out the charges, a perfect timeline of restaurants and hotels she's paid for. Turns out she also has accounts on Tinder and Bumble, which showed up when I combed through the last few phone bills. A friend who is a deputy sheriff is going to be here tonight when she gets home. I've gotten her a room at a nearby hotel for the week and paid for it up front. She can sleep there for now and figure it out on her own starting tomorrow. My daughter and I spoke, and she knows what's up and is angry at her mum. Next steps are to find someone for her to talk to. Thanks to my job, I have great insurance, so that's one less thing to worry about. I decided I'm also going to come clean to her mother once my wife and daughter are on the plane back here. I'm taking a couple of days off to deal with this. I want to know how this one goes down. Update 2. This will be the final update on this sad situation. First off, thanks to everyone who weighed in. It's amazing the number of fellow firefighters and LEOs I've heard from who are in similar situations. I took a few days of personal time away from the job to deal with all of this. My soon-to-be ex-wife and our daughter returned home late Sunday, and my daughter immediately fled to her room and closed the door. My wife said something along the lines of, "I guess you must be pretty mad at me." And I told her the truth. I was numb. The anger would come later, and it would be best if she was somewhere else for a while. My friend, the deputy sheriff, was there and said he would sit on the deck and be there if I needed him. I told my wife that I was recording this conversation to protect myself and my rights as a husband and father, and she said fine. At this point, she seemed to think she could talk her way out of it. What I didn't tell her was that I'd spent most of the last week talking with friends, my parents, my battalion chief at work, a lawyer and a therapist. I have a ton of leave and a supportive bunch of co-workers, so if I need to take months off to deal with this, I can. I told her I was disappointed in her, but mostly angry that our daughter got caught in the crossfire of her bad behaviour, that she had put our child at risk to get laid. She didn't admit or deny it. But then her tone changed, and she almost immediately started saying things like, "Remember the time we..." trying to get me to remember good times. After about 3 of those mentions, I told her the truth. I couldn't trust my memories because I had no idea what she might have been doing. When that didn't work, she went into the whole, "I was lonely because you were working so much" crap. I reminded her that we had made a deal about how to pursue a future where we could retire early. I got so mad at this point that I pointed out that if she had behaved, we could have retired when she was 48 or so. But now she's going to have to work for herself. I'm not usually a vindictive person, but I like the idea of her having to work until she's 70 years old and being angry every time she gets dressed to go to a job she hates. One of my work buddies, who is also married and has vacationed with us a couple of times, made an observation. Every time we've gone somewhere, there has been a day or two where my wife has contrived an excuse to be apart from the family, so I played a hunch and said something like, "This wasn't the first time, this was just the first time you got caught." She just hung her head and very quietly said yes, so I have that admission on tape. She went to the hotel without objection. She wrote me long emails saying things like, "I'm sorry, and I am not sure why I did what I did." I did not reply. Before she even got home, I'd spoken with her mother and told her that she was at a hotel with another man, while her daughter was in the emergency room, and also about the credit card she opened. Her mother didn't say much, but I told her that if I had any inkling she was aiding and abetting my wife's bad behaviour, I would severely limit her access to her granddaughter. That was probably a mistake on my part, but I was just so fucking angry. My mother-in-law swears she knew nothing and that she was worried sick that something had happened to my wife when no one could reach her. I also told her that I wasn't going to allow my wife back into the house if I could help it. I expected her to understand that I've never yelled or hit or cheated or done anything other than what I promised to do when we got engaged. That seemed to resonate with her. My wife's parents split up when she was in high school because her dad was a serial cheater, so maybe that registered with her mum. I sent a text to the friend who took my daughter to the emergency room. I told her I didn't particularly care if she replied. I appreciated her being at the ER with my daughter, but I also said that if she had prior knowledge of where my wife was going, she had a huge part in destroying my family. A true friend would never encourage shitty behaviour. I haven't figured out how to get in touch with her husband yet, but I suspect, based on reading between the lines, that she and my wife were kind of egging each other on. Thursday morning, I got a text from my wife saying that her mother had rented her a furnished apartment close to our house. She would like to come and get some personal things on Friday when I went to work. I said that was fine. I should point out that during all of this, she only texted our daughter one time, and even in her communications with me, she never even asked about her. When she told me she got the apartment, she didn't ask if our daughter could come visit. I told her I wasn't working on Friday, but that I would be out of the house for a couple of hours so she could get some things. I left, but I had a process server waiting across the street. When she pulled up in the driveway, he handed her divorce papers. They included a notice from my attorney that I intend to file for sole custody and that she would have visitation rights. She called my voicemail, and she was almost incoherent with rage. I've never heard her so angry or sounding so unbalanced. My lawyer had a very good suggestion that I will pass along for anyone else in this position. I got a new cell phone. I don't carry the phone that has the number my wife knows. I've only given a few people the new number, my lawyer, my sister, my daughter, my boss, and a couple of good friends from work. I check the old phone once a day to see if there's anything I need to deal with. I know there's a lot of other advice out there that I didn't touch on, but there is no need for a paternity test because my daughter looks exactly like me. I will get an STD panel, but I don't think that's an issue either. My lawyer notified me that my wife has hired a lawyer. I made it clear that I am going to stay in the house and that my daughter is going to stay there with me. I may have to write her a large cheque thanks to the vagaries of family law, but at this point, I really don't give a damn. I'd probably add a 0 to the cheque if it would get rid of her 6 months earlier. That were the stories of today. If you're not sleeping yet, leave a like and consider subscribing. It's still free today. We close our story and continue with the next one. Sleep well.